Well, hello everybody, my name is Roger and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm doing a book review and the book is entitled The Past and Other Things That Should Stay Buried. And this is written by Shaun David Hutchinson. So given that I love Shaun David Hutchinson's work, I was super stoked when I heard that he was releasing a new novel. And I was doubly stoked when I heard that it was about the dead who won't stay buried. Now, I recall reading a blurb somewhere that described it as 6 feet under meets pushing up daisies, and I was immediately hooked given that I love both of these shows. For those of you who don't know, 6 Feet Under follows a family who owns a funeral home business, and Pushing Up Daisies is about a pie maker who can bring people back from the dead with just a touch. But if he touches them a second time, they are dead for good. So The Past and Other Things That Should Stay Buried takes place over the course of 2 days and follows a young man named Dino whose parents own a funeral home business. So being around the dead is nothing new for Dino, but what is new is the dead coming back to life. So as it turns out, Dino's ex-best friend July dies suddenly. So Dino is trying to work through his grief at her passing. You know, he always believed that eventually the two of them would manage to find their way back to each other and renew their friendship. But now it was too late for that. And we began to see Dino's regret at all those words, all those things that now will never be said. So Dino is alone in the basement with July's body, working on her makeup in preparation for her upcoming funeral. It's kind of his way of saying a final goodbye to her, when suddenly she comes back to life. Well, not to life exactly. She's conscious, sentient, but her body is still pretty much dead. I mean, she has no heartbeat, she's not breathing. And given that she has just gone through a complete autopsy, it's unlikely that any of her organs are working either. So what follows is Dino and July's attempt to figure out what in the hell is going on with her, all the while rehashing their former friendship, each of them blaming the other for its end. So it was really fun seeing Dino and July rushing around town trying to solve the mystery of July's reawakening, both fearing that she could return to her dead state at any moment. They also revisited their friendship over and over, and in so doing discovered that perhaps they were both to blame, and that there were a lot of things in the past that they both left unsaid when they should have spoken up. You know, I thought this illustrated nicely the ups and downs of friendship and just how complicated those types of relationships can be. I thought that it was also a gentle reminder that the time to mend those damaged relationships in our life is now, because we may not be as fortunate as Dino and July were in receiving a second chance. But as July and Dino soon discover, they do not have the luxury of time to slowly figure out what's going on with July, because though July's death may have ended, her decomposition has not, which means she's not smelling quite as fresh as she once did. So when people around them begin to comment on the offensive odor, they both realize that their time truly is limited. Moreover, it turns out that July's resurrection has a ripple effect throughout the world and has affected the natural course of life and death. Now, I would say that the beating heart at the center of this book is the friendship between July and Dino, and I thought that the author handled it exceptionally well. You know, it was fun seeing them as they bickered with each other over petty annoyances, dug up old hurts, and released old anger and resentments. But additionally, they also joked around quite a bit and ended up rediscovering the joy of their friendship. I also liked the fact that it wasn't only one of them who was at fault, but rather both were responsible for the break of their friendship. So in this way, we get to take a look at the idea of unfinished business, but from both sides, as they both began to realize that it's those you love who end up hurting you the most, and vice versa. It It was also refreshing to see a male and female friendship that didn't end up in a romance, or where one was agonizingly pining for the other. So that being said, I thought that July and Dino were wonderfully complex, vivid, and empathetic characters, and felt the characterization was especially powerful. You know, the author did an excellent job of bringing these two to life in all of their complexities, faults, flaws, and imperfections, making them someone the reader could easily relate to, or at least I could. Now, I thought July was a terrific character. She's multi-layered, flawed, impulsive, and once we move past her harsh exterior, we see that she's also insecure and deeply hurt by the loss of Dino's friendship. And though she comes across as self-centered and bitter, we see another side of her unfold as the novel progresses, and we begin to understand the reason behind some of her actions. But I really couldn't help but fall in love with her character by the end of the story. And as for Dino, well, I found him to be well-crafted, awkward, but an endearing character, and I loved how loyal he was to July, and how willing he was to help her, even though their friendship had ended badly. He ended up being quite a complicated character who, though he thought he was self-confident and knew what he wanted, really was just as insecure as the rest of us. And this was especially evident in his relationship with his trans boyfriend, Rafi, as he navigated the ups and downs and uncertainties of their relationship, in addition to confronting some hidden truths about himself in the process. Now, I liked how this story was told from alternating points of view, allowing us to get an in-depth peek at what was going on inside each of their heads. Now, this really helped me to deeply understand their feelings and motivations, making them all the more relatable and all the more real. So all in all, I thought that this was a lovely, heartfelt novel about two teens who were given a little extra time to resolve the unfinished business that was left between them. I love the fact that it was up to the reader to determine just whose unfinished business caused July's return. I also loved how this dark and somewhat grim situation is lightened by realistic dialogue and the genuineness of feeling between the two main characters, and the witty banter and shenanigans between the two of them made this a joy to read. The quirky and crazy plot in this story was kept steady by the realism and the truth of the situation, that is, of the grief of losing a friend with so much still unsaid between the two of you. As usual, Mr. Hutchinson did not disappoint, and I ended up loving this tender story, which held me in rapt attention from start to finish. It was a story with emotional depth and plenty of heart, and I became so emotionally invested by the end of the book that I felt as though I were saying goodbye to close friends at the end. So this book isn't out yet at the time I'm recording this, but it is set to be released on February 19th, but it is now available for pre-order. So that is it for The Past and Other Things That Should Stay Buried. As always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you click the like button below. And that is it. I'll talk to you in the next video. Roger and out.